We can do this to those to get better at them. It's one of the things that really confuses people. Sometimes they look at it and they go, well, this looks like a good idea, but how do I apply it? Well, not only do we apply it in the way that we learn technique, but we also apply it in the way that we address the fight and organize the fight. A lot of times what you'll see is you'll have a student that's really good at tactics and really good at methods, but they can't really figure out the strategy. They'll be all over the place. They're kind of working. Or you may be a student that does this. You get into it and you go, man, I'm all over the place here. I don't know what I'm doing because I've got great tactics and, I'm fainting over here. I've got a great punch or I've got a great sweep, but I can't seem to move beyond that. I can't seem to move beyond trying to do trips and sweeps. So what we want to make sure that we do is that we take this process right here and we apply that process over here. So if you have a student that's having a difficult time here, you have to back them up and go back to the attention weighting. Attention weight on the goal. If they start to get off, that's where you have to bring them back to until they can start to work with it consistently and it imprints on them, this is the way that I fight. I don't fight in an unorganized manner, I fight in an organized manner. So we bring these things constantly back to each other so that we can always do it. One of the things that I talked about in combative striking is that this, and I like to do this, I like to say this is good, this is bad. Because in this situation, when it comes to movement, I don't like to say that as much. I like to look at efficient versus inefficient. But good versus bad describes what this is. Because efficient versus inefficient might get you it might get you hurt or you get that learning experience. But if you screw this up completely and you walk into the knife fight with empty hands because you didn't look at it, you don't have a goal, you're not aware of your surroundings. If you walk into the gunfight with a bat, that's where this becomes good versus bad because you can get hurt pretty quickly. So that's why this is good and this is bad. The reason for that is because if you start here, you're going to limit what you do up here. If you're only a striker and you're really good at striking, you're going to consistently go back to striking. And so you're going to have problems developing a more full strategy. Your tactics might not work against some type of grappler or a kicker. So your strategy for boxing, the way that you corner somebody, might not work. So if you just start down here with what you know, you're going to have that kind of problem. If you start up here with the goal of how do I address this person? How do I address that person? Okay, I'm a striker. How do I address this type of attacker? What is my goal with that type of attacker? What is the strategy to get to that goal? And what tactics and methods am I going to use? You start throwing things out. That's why you take this process and you take the EPL1 with your students or with yourself and you begin to apply it back and forth and looking at how can I get better at this? How can I differentiate between things that are going to help me achieve my goal, that are going to help my tactics get better, that are going to get me to that strategy? How do I differentiate between the methods that I'm going to use and the things that they're going to do? How can I differentiate in those areas? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself to be a better fighter and to be better combatively and in combat. You have to organize it. It's a lot of mental work to get good. But once you get good, you've thrown out things that don't work, so you don't worry about them anymore, except in your 25% training lab time, where you're doing things that usually don't work, but your 75% over here, which is a whole lot better, is those are the things that work consistently, and you know you're going to do them and you get good at them, because we're in martial art to learn how to survive. It is a martial art. It's the art of survival. It is the art of combat. So that's why we have to be smarter and better fighters. So remember, this process, going down good, not only applies towards the way that somebody is fighting, but it also applies towards the way that they do their goal selection, and it can help you break it down and work experience-wise through the problems they may be having with this type of process.